From Naples, Florida, this is the One Extraordinary Marriage Show, where being busy is overdone, romancing is fun, and scheduling sex has taken the guesswork out of wondering when you're going to get some. I'm Tony DeLorenzo, your co-host, along with my beautiful wife, Elisa. From coast to coast and around the world, thank you for joining us. It's time to talk sex, love, and commitment. Give us a call or text us on the HUG hotline at 858-876-5663 or send us an email to hugs@oneextraordinarymarriage.com. In today's episode, we're talking about the concept of hard resets to help you break out of those ruts and get real momentum going in your marriage.
And there's an anonymous quote that says, reset, readjust, restart, refocus as many times as you need to. And I think as we're talking about, the concept of a hard reset in your marriage and what that looks like, just a reminder that you can do this as many times as you need to, that you're not limited or that it has to stay within a certain box. And we're going to talk about that in today's episode. But first, we start every episode with a hug. And a hug is really an opportunity. So many times over the years, it's been an opportunity and continues to be an opportunity for us to celebrate the breakthroughs that you have in your marriage, to be able to share your story with others and help them just see where they can have breakthrough themselves. And this hug comes from an email that we received that said, I've been listening to your podcast consistently for about 1.5 years now, and you have completely changed my marriage. Like Tony, I struggled with porn addiction that started when I was 11 years old. Now, 21 years later, I can say I am free. It has been 3 months since I have even been tempted by porn, and in that time, my wife and I have done 2 7-day sex challenges.
Wait, 2 7-day sex challenges in 3 months?
That would be the math that I'm thinking.
Come on,
yeah.
Let's go.
We've been working on the intimacy lifestyle, and we'll hopefully be starting that soon too. We also pick an intimacy to focus on for each month to strengthen our marriage. I started listening to your episodes from the beginning, from episode 1, and I'm on 265 at the moment and looking forward to finishing the rest. With us having 3 boys, ages 6, 5, and 3, the early episodes have been a big help for managing our intimacy and life with young kids. Thank you all so much for what you've done for us, and I look forward to continuing to hear your podcasts.
Wow. There's so much goodness in there. But the one I want to focus on in number, let me just say this. Congratulations on your double we did it, right? Like 2 7-day sex challenges in 3 months. A huge
with little kids.
With little kids. Yeah. Huge congratulations for you kicking pornography. And I'm sure the sexual intimacy and your intimacy, your closeness and connection with your wife is probably more vibrant than having been looking at pornography, and you know what I'm talking about. What I wanted to focus on just real quickly is we don't have young children anymore. We have a 22 and a 19-year-old at this time, at this recording. But what hit me was how some people will be like, you're not relevant to where I am in life at times. We'll get these emails, right? Yeah. And it just reminded me, and it was like a slap in the face of like, no, go back. Yeah. Because we've never taken any of our episodes down. Not once in 15 and a half years. Every single episode we've ever published and put out there is there. And we started recording when our oldest at the time was
7. They were 4 and 7.
They were 4 and 7.
Do the math.
And I just think about that, like the journeys we've been on, the ups and downs that we have been on in the last 15 years with our children from 7 and 4 to where they are today is all there. And so no matter where you're at, maybe sometimes you got to just go back and find where maybe Tony and Elisa were that aligns more where you're at right now. I would still say come here and continue to listen to the more recent episodes because there's something there for you as well.
Well, and I want to say one other aspect of that before we jump into today's episode. It's not just that we were parents of young kids at that point in time. We were also in our mid-30s.
Yes.
When we started. So it wasn't just having little kids. We've been doing this podcast since our mid-30s. And so you've got the second half of the 30s, you got all the 40s. Now we're into our 50s. So you can likely find some stage of life that we've covered.
unless they're in their 60s and 70s.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Which we love our empty nesters who are there and have become part of the one family, because you guys are learning and honestly just even teaching us when you share with us, or we're on the marriage getaway with you or whatever it may be. So yeah. I love it. And it just really hit me to just hear that and go, wow, like, yeah, I remember those days, and we got different problems and different issues we deal with now, right?
Yeah, there's a lot that with adult children that was not covered in what to expect when you're expecting. So we'll just leave that for another day. But jumping to today's episode, I actually, I work on the episode and then I go find the hug, and I didn't even realize how well the hug was going to tie in to this, because one of the things that the gentleman said in the hug is that, they focus on a pillar of intimacy each month to strengthen their marriage, right? And the concept for this particular episode, this hard reset, actually came from a coaching conversation where this couple that I'm working with, I have the privilege to work with, was talking about the fact that they had gotten into this idea of doing these resets around different pillars of intimacy. And I'm sitting across from them and I'm like, wait, tell me more, because I think this might be something that's going to work its way into a podcast. And I think the entire one family needs to hear this. And they're looking at me, I'm like, I'll keep you anonymous. So they know who they are, but you all get to, benefit from their wisdom and what they've done, because what they did was they found themselves probably about a year and a half ago in a place where, disconnected, just getting exposed to 6 pillars of intimacy, these different pillars, whatnot, but just like, where do we start, that type of thing. And so they chose to start with their recreational intimacy, and they made a commitment to one another that for 14 days, they were going to date one another again. Okay. Right. And not in this like, well, we've got to they have little kids. So it wasn't going to be like, hey, we're going to get dressed up and we're going to have a sitter and we're going to do this every night. But it was, how can we intentionally date, spend time with, have fun with one another on a daily basis after that we get the kids to bed? Yes, there were a couple like leave the house dates, but it was a lot of like, let's play a board game. Let's do a puzzle together. Let's make dinner. Like all of these different intentional actions. And what I loved about it was that it wasn't just like, hey, we're going to do this. It was, they got to the point where they're like, how are we going to take turns initiating this recreational intimacy? What is this going to look like? Where's our list of ideas? So they were so intentional on the front side that it set them up for success. So they did that for their recreational intimacy. And then they went on to their physical intimacy and then started to get into a place where they were working on their sexual intimacy, and he got really sick. And so that fell off that month. And we're talking about this and I'm like, well, what happened after he got better? And they both kind of looked at me and I'm like, guys, this could be your secret sauce. We might need to go back to looking at this for your marriage. But like I told them, I said, I'm actually going to share it with the one family, because when you look at what the definition of a reset is, it's to set again or anew. It's to restore to this original state. So this place, like if we think about the original state of our marriages, like in the early days, and I think most of you would probably agree, there was a level of intentionality, right? We literally just met a listener to the one family. We were out at a coffee shop a couple weeks ago in Bonita Springs, which is one of the towns around us. And we come out and she looks at us and she's like, are you Tony and Elisa?
She recognized our voices.
And this is the first time it's actually happened in Florida. So that like tickles me pink just a little bit. But newlywed, right? What'd you say? 7 months?
Yeah, 7 months.
Married. And you're just talking about like being in that newlywed stage, but there's so much intentionality. Like you're trying to figure things out. You're doing all this kind of stuff. And then, life and kids and obligations and all that stuff gets in the way. And we can lose that intentionality. But if we do a reset to restore to that original state, right? What does that mean when it comes to us and our marriages and focusing on these different aspects, also known as, AKA, the 6 pillars of intimacy, to really step into this place of where's our intentionality? How are we doing this, right? And I got to share some eye-opening statistics with all of you, because I asked the question on Instagram last week. I said, when was the last time you prioritized your marriage for a concentrated period of time?
Okay.
Right? Not just like, I went on a date, or, I took coffee and, breakfast in bed.
Period of time is, are you saying?
I did not specify length of time because
you just wanted to leave that sort of ambiguous for somebody to think in their own mind. What's a period of time for me? For some, it could be 3 days. For some, it could be 30 days.
Right. And I'm not going to specify that because I tell a lot of my coaching clients, there's no one size fits all.
Right.
A lot of times, like what that looks like for you in the season of life that you're in, whether you've got like the hug, you've got 3 young kids, or you're empty nesters, like that could look really different for all of you.
Sure.
Now, 50% of the respondents said, I can't remember the last time.
That they were prioritizing their marriage for a concentrated period of time. Okay.
Like, I can't remember.
Okay.
Half. Which, ironically, depending on where you look, kind of mirrors what a lot of the divorce statistics are. Just throwing that out there. Might be a correlation. Don't know. Just hypothetical. 30% said within the last month, and 20% said we're doing something intentional right now.
Okay.
I'm still a little bit like the 50% was just kind of like, ooh. Okay, what does that look like? Because if you get into this place where you can't remember, then you might be in a state of drift, right? Where you're just not doing those intentional things, where you're kind of like, all right, well, you know what? Yeah, it's a missed date night, or something came up, or, yeah, we'll get to that conversation. You just start drifting. And then other things get elevated in terms of priorities. You're always putting out the fires, maybe with the kids or with extended family or with work and all of these other things. And you aren't connecting. And then you can even get to a place where you kind of forget what the connection feels like. Right. And I've had couples sit across me and they're like, yeah, like, I don't even know how we'd have a conversation. Or it's been so long, if we talk about a different pillar of intimacy, if we talk about sexual, it's been so long, Elisa, since we've had sex. Like, I wouldn't even know what that looks like. Or you know what? We don't really touch anymore. Like, it would be awkward to, have a hug or give a kiss or this kind of thing. Or we haven't prayed together in age. Like, so all of it doesn't matter which pillar of intimacy we're talking about, but you can forget what that connection feels like. And then you get into this place where every little thing becomes a big thing, right? Where you're like, oh, funny things from Tony and Lisa's house. The way you chew your food, right? This is a big one for me. As I've gotten older, I don't know, my ears, certain sounds just get more sensitive. And like, that could be a really big thing between Tony or I. I so wish. There are times when I wish we were a video podcast, because I think you guys would love to see Tony like almost.
I just shake my head when she says that sort of stuff to me. Literally, I have not changed my chewing in the 28 and a half years we've been married at this point in time, known each other 31 years, have not changed it. Mind you, no teeth have been removed from my mouth. No teeth have been added to my mouth. I chew like I have always chewed. And then there are days when Elisa literally is looking at me as I'm chewing my cashews. I do love my cashews.
I don't think you were eating nearly as many nuts when I first met you.
Okay, well, whatever.
Or
then
grains.
I'm nuts at this point in time.
But it's like those little things, or like, the fact that I do have my piles. I continue to have my piles. My daughter actually, for the first time ever, came into my office the other day and she did this like little head swivel thing. And she's like, yeah, you need to pick up this place. I'm like, wow.
Good on
that
her.
Is almost the pot calling the kettle black, because she is not my neatest child. She's definitely upped her game. But I share that because like those little things, you hear Tony and I laughing about them, right? It is a source of humor.
It's a source of humor right now. And yet, believe me, there are times when I am absolutely annoyed and frustrated, because I am like, what do you want me to do? I am hungry. We are driving in a car and I have nuts and I am eating them like I always eat them and the way I always chew them. And Elisa's like, they're just hurting my ears. Like, literally, there just sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh. Then turn up the music. No, the music's too high. It hurts my ears. Like, put in earplugs, I guess. I don't know. So we can laugh at it now and yet this evening, literally, I could be chewing some cashews and Elisa will say something about it.
I'm going to have to be on my best behavior after this episode.
It could start some annoyance or stir some annoyance up in me.
And that's And it becomes worse when you're not connecting, right? When you've got that
True.
drift, when you've got these other things that feel like priorities, when you don't remember what connection feels like, and you're just in this place of everything. And this is what a lot of my coaching clients will say. It's like, everything annoys me about my spouse.
Wow.
Every little thing. And it's because there's no connection. Like you haven't put in that intentionality. And we've got to get to this place. And I think that's the beauty. And I wish I could take credit for it. I mean, 6 Pillars of Intimacy, that book, and the framework, and, the 6 pillars, and the fact that there are 12 months in a year. So like that was all God. I just got to be the author of that book. But when you look at the 6 pillars, they naturally lend themselves to having a place where you can focus on, and you can actually reset around the pillars, one each month, and get through that over the course of the year. And we want to be able to talk about that and give you some practical strategies. And we're going to do that after this break. This episode of the One Extraordinary Marriage Show is brought to you by Alloy Women's Health. Aging as a woman, it's no joke. The sleepless nights, hot flashes, brain fog, weight gain, and let's not forget the vanishing libido. Menopause doesn't mess around. Here's the thing. Alloy gets it. Unlimited access to doctors who actually know their stuff, with safe, science-backed treatment for hormone, skin, hair, and sexual wellness. All delivered to your door. Having a menopause-trained doctor I can actually reach out to when I need them, it's been a game changer. It's not some rushed appointment where you feel like you're being shuffled out the door. And having my prescriptions just arrive at my house, it's one less thing on my to-do list. I cannot recommend Alloy enough. Join the 95% of women who tried Alloy and saw relief in the first 2 weeks. Head to myalloy.com/OEM and tell them all about your symptoms, and you'll get a fully customized treatment plan. And you'll get $20 off your first order today. Head to myalloy.com/OEM and enter code OEM to get $20 off your first order.
Breaking up is never easy, but saying goodbye to your old clunky work tools? Well, that's easy. Just repeat after me. It's not me, it's definitely you. You rigid, unfriendly software. It's time to freshen things up with Monday.com, the first work platform you'll love to use. With stunning dashboards, customizable templates, and built-in AI that actually works, switching to a new work platform has never felt this good. So move on to Monday.com.
We're back, and we're discussing how to implement these hard resets in your marriage to strengthen each of the 6 pillars of intimacy. And I get really fired up about this because I love the fact that there are 6, that they can show up twice in a year, that you can do like this coaching couple did. And they did a 14-day challenge, and they were starting to do that every month. And, you start looking at this and you're like, okay, well, first, like, how do we even get started with this? And yes, there are 6 pillars of intimacy. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. You do not have to take the pillars in any prescribed order. I did write the book in a particular order. When you hear us list them, you always hear us list them in the same order. If you want to create your own husband and wife order for how you want to go through them, knock yourself out.
Sure.
Knock yourself out. But pick an order so you know where you're going. Let it be your flow chart, your framework, your guide, how you're going to go through the emotional, physical, financial, spiritual, recreational, and sexual. Pick an order. Then decide on the time frame, right? This couple did 14 days. We wrote the book 7-Day Sex Challenge, right?
Well, in the hug, I mean, it was 2 7 days, you know what I mean? In 3 months. Mm-hmm. So yeah, 30 days. If you really want to go after it and establish new patterns, like, to create new patterns and new habits, we need to do something long enough that it becomes
muscle memory.
Muscle memory. Thank you. I forgot the first word there. And we can then continue doing that. Like it becomes like, oh, this is just something we do, And in transitions, that can get a little squirrely.
Yeah.
Like we've learned it. I mean, we've been here in Southwest Florida now for almost a year. And, some of the things that we did back in San Diego that we had done for many, many years, we're still establishing now. Like, what does that look like for us?
Absolutely. And, whatever that time frame is, whether you 7, 14, 30, I mean, those are just, when you think about months of the year, those are just easy numbers to do. Whatever that is, make it be something that you can both commit to, right? You'll see you'll see transformation in the commitment. It's not necessarily like there's a magic number for the length of days. It's how are you flexing that muscle? And again, you want to start with what feels achievable so you can get the momentum.
Yes.
If you start with a 30 day and you get to day 3 and you're like, oh no, we fell out. And then you get all defeated and you're like throwing your hands up. That did not work. If you start with a week, you miss day 3, you hop on again for day 4.
Yeah. Right. Whatever it may be, whatever the pillars you're working on. One of the things I do want to say, and I think this has happened numerous times, even in mine and Elisa's marriage. You can set something up, 7, 14, 30, whatever it's going to be. One of you is all ready to go, like you're rearing, and you're excited. And your spouse is sort of kind of there maybe. Some of you, like, you have a reluctant spouse. But that's part of the journey. And it's okay if you both aren't on board 100% exactly in the same way or the way you expect it to be. It's okay. I think there are times even when Elisa and I are doing things for our own marriage and she's all for it. And I'm sort of like, whatever. Like, but me being involved, I begin to get excited. I begin to see the transformation that's happening in my own life. I see what's happening in Elisa's life. And attitudes change, emotions change, So be understanding that because you're hearing this and you're ready to go and you bring it up to your spouse and they may just be sort of lukewarm to it and yet they're saying, yeah, they'll do it, then go do it. You're not forcing them. You're not coercing them. You're saying, hey, we want to do this. And then they're going like, yeah, okay, cool. They just may not have as much as excitement as you did or do.
Well, and I think, that actually ties into getting to this place where you kind of establish, like, what are our rules for this? Right? Like, if we are both committed, which please both be committed, what does that look like for us? Right? How do we build out what happens if life happens? Right? If we miss a day, if a kid gets sick, if, boss calls you into work late or whatever that looks like. How are we going to celebrate our daily wins? Right. My coaching clients hear me ask this question frequently, like what's your win, Din, since the last time I saw you? Right. It doesn't matter which pillar you picked in. If you're like, hey, we've got 2 days in a row, high five, because we're amazing. We haven't done 2 days in a row of anything in ages. So like, let's celebrate that. Or, we took turns initiate, whatever that looks like, but establish what your rules are going to be. Establish how you're going to, don't make it so complicated. Let me actually say this again. Don't make it so complicated that you can't actually do it because you've spent so much time thinking of all of the what ifs and how do we, like sometimes, and some of you need to hear this, sometimes you just need to get started because you'll make up so many plans that it feels unachievable before you've even started your kissing challenge or started your dating challenge or started your sex challenge or started your money challenge. And you're like, whoa, too complicated. Can't do it. Right? You've got to establish your rules, and you also have to define what success is going to look like in each one of those pillars. Like, what do you want to accomplish? Some of the highlights from the other question that we asked was just, on the Instagram poll, I'd asked the question, like, what were you doing during those concentrated periods of time?
Okay.
And heard comments like, we keep the phone in another room on our dates or during focused conversation time, so we're not distracted. I focus on initiating in each pillar. We do an overnight while the kids stay with the grandparents. So that's like a nice concentrated weekend. Yeah. It's just us.
Yeah, you can do a 3-dayer.
It's all good. Discuss feelings, express appreciation, have purposeful intimacy. Like, these are all things just to get you thinking, like, what would success be before that? Then you actually, like, I'm gonna say the word that people do not like to hear me say. It happens a lot of times, specifically when we talk about scheduling sex, but I am going to use the word schedule. I'm going to talk about your calendar. You have to put whatever your time frame is on your calendar. Otherwise, it will not happen. I know you're all very well-meaning, well-intentioned when it comes to, like, if we say this is going to happen, it's going to happen. It won't. There will be lots of other little things. All those other priorities will fight for your attention. Whereas if you know that this is the week each month that you are focused on a pillar of intimacy, you may actually choose to say no to other things.
And the calendar becomes very important because of meetings, other obligations, sporting events. school activities, anything else that might encroach on that time. Because believe you me, if you see it open on your calendar, you sort of go, yeah, I can make that happen. Mm-hmm. When a week ago you made the commitment to doing something with your spouse, to getting out of the rut, to starting this hard reset. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah. And I've seen it too often, more times than not. The other activity takes precedent or becomes first priority over our spouse. And over time, that can get a little old. And so having a shared calendar even around this can be super helpful for you guys to be able to see it, look at it, but more importantly, put it on your personal calendar. Block that time off so nobody can just sort of like slip up in there and be like, oh, well, you know, you had this little 5 o'clock slot open and you're like, shoot, I was supposed to be taking my wife to dinner at 5:30. And so I need to get ready, you know, because I have reservations planned at 6:30, like whatever that may be. And that's never a fun place to be. Mm-hmm. No, it's not fun for you. Like, it's not fun for me when somebody slips in my calendar. I'm like, oh, I got to go tell Elisa. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel good for her because it shows her that she's not on my calendar, that she's not important to me. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we say schedule it. It's not to say, like, especially around a sex challenge or something of that nature, like it needs to be on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Mm-hmm. Like, it's putting it on the calendar so you guys know, and it's blocked off. You know it. You're protecting it. Again, something major comes up, something happens that needs your attention. We all get it. You got to live life too. You know, you got to understand there's gray in everything we talk about. But for the most part, can you get your spouse on your calendar?
And I want to talk about those obstacles and when life happens in just a second. But I also want to say, and I've said this, I was actually saying this to a couple the other day, that when you have your marriage on your calendar, so let's say, you know, you've got your week blocked off, whether it's going to be recreational intimacy or sexual intimacy or whatever it is. First of all, nobody else needs to know what intimacy you're working on except for the two of you.
True.
But when you have a week, 2 weeks blocked off and somebody's like, hey, we'd love to get together, or I want to do this, or are you available for that? It is so incredibly powerful in today's day and age to be able to say, wow, that sounds amazing. We're going to need to find another week because that night is scheduled time between my wife and I. Oh, you know what? I'd love to. That night, that's a special night for my husband and I. We're going to have to find another time. Like, you actually, just through your language of having it on the calendar, you don't have to feel bad. Actually feel proud that you've got it on your calendar, and you can tell people, you know what? Our marriage is so important that my spouse, that's their night.
Yep. I agree with
and you get to shift the culture around you into being marriage focused. And finally, the last thing that we do need to address, right, whenever you're trying to do a hard reset, is that there are going to be obstacles, right? Kids are going to get sick. Somebody, your job's going to ask you for overtime. Family's going to be like, hey, what about the birthday party for, Uncle Joe? All of these different things will happen. Just like it happened to this couple when they were trying their sexual intimacy challenge. They were on that month and he got sick. And it's so important in those moments not to lose your momentum, but to say, okay, first of all, let's acknowledge it. It happened. We got an obstacle here. Is this like a day or two obstacle that we can just, jump back on? We're going to give it, get better, whatever that is, and then we'll start up again. Or is this where, hey, we need to just call it for this month and say, you know what, this episode's recording the month of July. Let's just say, July is going to be a wash. We tried really good. It's just not going to happen in July. Let's restart in August.
Yep.
Kind of like that quote that I read at the very beginning when we talked about resetting and restarting and refocusing. Do it as many times as you need to. Same thing here. Don't let it be just wipe your hands and say, you know what, we failed. Look at each other. Say, we're in this together. We're on the same team. Let's pick it up again. Because that's where that commitment comes in, and that understanding that we're in this together to build an extraordinary marriage, to strengthen each one of our 6 pillars of intimacy, to literally shift the future of our marriage.
Yeah, that's really good. And if you want to do this in community, come join us at intimacymastery.com. You can get your intimacy mastery assessment. It'll tell you the pillar you should start working on. And you can take that assessment every month to pick your next pillar of intimacy and the next reset you're going to do. But come check it out. We have so many folks in the One Family there joining us. It's a vibrant community, live workshops, resources for every single pillar. I mean, there's so much there for you. So come on over, check it out at intimacymastery.com. This is your week. Where are you going to hard reset? What are you going to do? Where are you going to start? What's going to happen? That's all up to you. So go make a decision, figure it out, determine the duration, pick the pillar, and go make it happen and start charting your course for a new adventure ahead. You guys have yourselves a great week. We'll catch you next week. Love you guys. Thank you for listening to the One Extraordinary Marriage Show. If you love this podcast, please leave a review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you are listening. Your review helps others find the show and know that it's the right fit for them and their marriage.